Welcome back to First Take. We are under a month until the NFL kicks off with a Hall of Fame game between the Cardinals and the Panthers. And teams will start reporting to training camp later this month. We got Kevin Clark and Jason McCourty here now. Hi, guys. Looking sharp as always. Thank you so much for being here. We're getting really close to the start of the season. And so, Kevin, which team are you most concerned about at this point?
It's the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Jay,
he said that quick.
We do a lot of TV together. And last week we talked about teams where I just see the check engine light, and okay, we're okay. We can keep driving.
Absolutely.
I am in the body shop. I am concerned about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let me tell you why. First of all, you look at some of these numbers last year for Aaron Rodgers, who one of the most talented guys who's ever played the position, still has a lot of good qualities, but he threw the ball quicker and shorter than basically anybody on record in the history of football last year. And I don't think that was an Arthur Smith, the departed offensive coordinator, stat. I don't think that was a receiver stat, even though he has better receivers this year. I think it was an age stat. I think it was him being unable to move in the pocket like he could, and all of a sudden, and by the way, his time to throw with the Jets went down too, because he can't buy the time he could 5-6 years ago when he was perennially in the MVP conversation. So you start there. You add in the fact that Mike Tomlin is leaving, and Mike McCarthy is not anywhere close to Mike Tomlin as a coach in my book. You also add in the fact that the strength of their franchise has been their defense for a long time. That seemed to be trending in the wrong direction last year. I understand, obviously, it's a new staff. We'll see what happens there. Obviously, still a lot of talent at the edge rusher position, but it was the second worst defensive performance of the last decade from Pittsburgh last year. So I'm just looking at this, and if we're talking about teams that maybe aren't going to repeat the success that they had last year, they're at the top of my list. I also throw in the fact that that division is going to be better. I think the Bengals are going to be real deal AFC contenders. I think the Baltimore Ravens will be better. And I think the Cleveland Browns will exist. That's just kind of where I'd put that there. We'll put them in the corner there for a second. But
can't argue that.
Teams will be improved. But that's where I am right now on the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I look at the Steelers, and I understand what you're saying, the time to throw, all of those different things. But I look at the upgrades. You talked about the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. That has been a hallmark for them. That fell by the wayside last year. Inserted an entire new staff led by Patrick Graham. This is a staff that's going to attack the offense. That's going to be different than something we've saw in the past. For Aaron Rodgers, you have more weapons, and I think that's a big part of it. You bring in Rico Dowdle, who's a two-time 1,000-yard rusher these last 2 seasons. You get Michael Pittman Jr. on the other side. If you're getting the ball out quick, but you're getting the ball out quick to better players, I think it results in a better offense, which allows them to do some more things. But I think ultimately, if they can get more stops on defense, turn the ball over, you're not putting Rodgers in those positions. And I think when you start to talk about teams that concern you, expectation means a lot. And I look at the Steelers, I don't see them as a team in the AFC that I'm looking at to really be a contender to come out and represent. I look at the Kansas City Chiefs and the fact that Patrick Mahomes at some point is going to be back and is going to be healthy. If Mahomes is on the field, my expectation for a Chiefs team is always going to be the Super Bowl. Like, that's just what I expect and what I want to see them do. I'm concerned at the fact that if Mahomes isn't fully healthy week 1 and he's not ready to go, how much trust do we have in Justin Fields to be able to lead the way and do what they need to get done on the offensive side of the ball? And not only doing so, we expect Mahomes to uplift the offense around him. They didn't go out and get more weapons on the offensive side of the ball. Rashee Rice has had an eventful offseason. You have Xavier Worthy coming back. Tyquan Thornton is a third wide receiver. Behind those guys, there's not a lot left to be desired. Travis Kelce is a year older, happily married man now. Congratulations to him. But they didn't get him a running mate at all either. The offensive tackle position, we've talked about it for years now, of Mahomes running for his life and doing these things. It's going to be more in Simmons. Simmons, if he can be consistent coming off his rookie year, yes. They're also aging on the defensive side of the ball. So for me, as much as I have high expectations for this Chiefs team, everything hinging on the health of Mahomes to start this season means a lot. And I think this is a team that we could be talking about as an AFC championship team, but also a team that could be missing the playoffs.
That, J-Mac, all of that is why you didn't get invited to the wedding. All right? That's it. You're the only one.
It had to be said.
There were some people I'm looking at like, damn, I should have been quality to be at this wedding.
I know. Well, now you know. Listen, I'm not worried about the Chiefs if Mahomes is healthy. It's the biggest X factor in the league, probably, whether or not Patrick Mahomes is healthy to start training camp, to start the season. Can he get reps?
You're not concerned with the weapons that he'll have coming off an injury, even if he is healthy?
I am concerned about that, but I also know that Patrick Mahomes raises the floor. I don't think they're Super Bowl contenders unless the deep passing game that we know Mahomes is capable of comes back. That has been really bad the last 3 years. I frankly think it's one of the most overlooked stories in football. Yeah. The fact that he was the better deep passer basically than anybody that's ever existed in this league for the first few years, and now that has gone away. He is throwing shorter and quicker, not to the Aaron Rodgers level, so I'm not that concerned about that. But obviously, he's trying to become more of a slice and dice guy because of the weapons, because he can't push the ball down the field without Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce in his prime. And a couple of years, it's a little better than it was a couple of years ago when it was really just Travis Kelce running option routes, sitting down in the zone and just catching those 9-yard passes and falling down. We saw that a million times about 3 years ago. It's gotten a little bit better. Xavier Worthy hasn't hit in the way they thought. The downfield isn't there. Some of it is just really simple stuff. Some of it is him just not getting his feet in bounds on long passes. It just hasn't hit in that way. So there's a lot riding on Xavier Worthy, a lot riding on Travis Kelce, as he mentioned. I just think that the floor is so much higher because of Andy Reid, because Mahomes knows where to go with the ball, and because they did address some of the deficiencies. Mansour Delane, obviously, in the first round, going out and getting the cornerback. And I talked to somebody that night, the draft night, the night that they made that trade for Mansour Delane, and I said, why do you trade up? And they said, well, when are the Chiefs ever going to get in a position again to draft the best player at a position? That's what they wanted to do, to go out and get a guy who's going to solve their problem. So I don't hate that necessarily. I think Brett Veach is one of the best GMs in football. I think he's always going to solve a problem like that. I like this roster maybe more than the Steelers and more than you do.
All right, so we're talking a lot about challenges, concerns, but in J-Mac, in your opinion, which team do you think needs to make a move the most?
I look across the league, and I'm looking at the Washington Commanders, and I look at the NFC East, and the Giants got better this offseason. The Philadelphia Eagles are in a little bit of a transition. New offensive coordinator moving on from A.J. Brown. And the Dallas Cowboys, the additions they made on the defensive side of the ball. For the Commanders to keep up, I think they need another wide receiver to play opposite Terry McLaurin. They're asking Jayden Daniels to change a little bit of his style. David Blau taking over as the offensive coordinator, who was under Kingsbury as well. But they're probably going to get away from all of the no huddle, get under center a little bit more to help your quarterback alleviate maybe the threat or the desire to rush as much. Give him a better weapon on the outside. Give him somebody to play opposite Terry McLaurin, where Antonio Williams, the draft pick from this year, can play in the slot and get work. I think that's going to be a big thing. And they're the team that I look at. If you get everybody in there, you get another weapon, Jayden Daniels comes back healthy, this is a team that can contend in the NFC.
Talked to Dan Quinn about this a couple weeks ago. He said getting Jayden Daniels under center is going to build more explosives because of teams obviously playing the run. To me, it's the Bears. They sat out the pass rusher market, and they had historically bad pass rush last year for a contender. I just don't think they made a move. There's nothing available right now. It's a problem.
Guys, we appreciate your expertise as always. Thank you so much for stopping by. Now, we are still waiting to see where LeBron James will take his talents to next season. Bob Myers gave his recruiting pitch, but was he right? Fresh hour of